to try and post the audio for this. So if there's something that I say that you weren't quite sure about, I'm going to post this on our YouTube channel, and so you can go back and listen to it. So everybody should have 2 handouts. They should have this outline, and they should have a calendar. If you don't have one per family, would be good. I do have a few extras if anybody wants any. We're going to talk about both as we go along here. What I want to do first is I want to introduce our catechist to you. This is another one of my printouts that somehow vaporized between St. Maria Goretti and here, but fortunately I have the PDF of it. And so we have a lot of wonderful people that have volunteered to help us out this year. I'm going to start with our, we have women teaching the girls and men teaching the boys. So I'm going to start with our women catechists, working with our 6th grade girls. And the catechist, if you could stand when you hear your name. We have Abby Eichelkraut, who's in the back. And her partner is going to be Caitlin Kinney, who's not going to be, she'll probably get here in about 15, 20 minutes. Her job is still working out her schedule for these nights. But they're going to co-teach the 6th grade girls. Our 7th grade girls are going to be taught by Vanessa Hensey and Abby Zott, who's back there, otherwise known as Fred. You can call her Fred. They're going to be working with the 7th grade girls. Our 8th grade girls are Shannon Davies, she's back there, and Sophia Hackenjoes. I'm never going to get that right. They're going to be teaching our 8th grade girls. I have 7th and 8th grade boys are going to likely be together unless something changes. And with them, we've got Jim Kinney, who I saw there, and Bert Lucas. All right, they're going to be working with the 7th and 8th grade boys. Our 6th grade boys, we've got Will Walton and Cotter Hackenjoes. Did I do it? Did I butcher it?
No, you're good.
Usually it's 3 or 4 tries. All right, so anyway, so these are our 10 volunteers that are helping out. This is really wonderful because last year for middle school here, I think we had 6 or 7. And so we have an increase in numbers, but we also have an increase in volunteers. And so this is a really good thing. So we're happy about that. And so with that, I want to go over the calendar here. If you want to take out the calendar right here. And this shows all of the dates that we will be meeting. Those of you that were here last year realize this is a lot simpler than last year. But so hopefully it's going to work out as well. It's got a little bit less information on than the other calendar, but I think it's going to work out for what you need. If you look, you guys are the Wednesdays at SA. So you're going to see a lot of abbreviations and things. SMG, St. Maria Goretti, SA, St. Andrew. A lot of people will still say St. Christopher. St. Christopher is going to be going away soon, so I'm trying to get in the habit of saying St. William and St. Andrew because we're still going to go by those sites. St. Christopher is basically a corporate entity that unified St. William and St. Andrew. And so it's really only for, some money things and stuff like that it's going to use. So some people say we're going to go to St. Christopher Parish. Well, that's in 2 locations. So St. Andrew is a much more accurate thing, and it's what we're going to have to get used to. So anyway, tonight is the first night, the kickoff and the parents' meeting. I expect that we'll be out of here probably by about 7:15 or 7:10. So this is not going to be a full night in here. And believe it or not, it's probably 7 or 8 degrees cooler in here than when I walked in. So we got the air conditioner going somehow. So anyway, so we'll try and recognize the fact that it is a little warm in here. You'll see that I basically just listed all the dates down there. Occasionally there are weeks off, like the week of where normally we would meet on October 16th. That is around the time of the fall break. I have to follow like literally 6 school district calendars to make this thing work because Goretti services like 5 high schools. And here we service, at least a couple. And so I'm trying to make it work. So that's when the fall break typically is for Verona and a couple of the Madison schools. And so that's when we're going to kind of I found a long time ago that Thursday and Friday, if it's off from school, people are not going to show up here on Wednesday night. So plus it might give me an opportunity to go out and see my daughter in Montana for a time. So let's keep your fingers crossed on that one. So, and then after that, then we have some time off around Thanksgiving. There's about, I think I counted 12 dates between now and Christmas. It's about 3 a month on average. So use this as your guide for when we're going to be meeting. On the right column, it says what we're going to be doing that night. The small groups nights are the nights where they're going to be working one-on-one with the catechist after a large group presentation. So a typical night for those of you that are new looks like they come in and they'll be milling around, stuff like that. We'll start with a song of like a video. I'll play that, and that's the students' cue to make sure that they've got their workbooks and they're in their spots. They should be checking in with their catechist when they arrive and get that information from them. And then what we do is we do an opening prayer, and then I'll do a short large group presentation on the topic that night. The topic this year is going to be the Bible and salvation history. This is actually year 1 of our 3-year cycle with that. But all 6th, 7th, and 8th graders will be learning the same thing. Next year, everybody will be doing the Apostles' Creed. And the year after that, they'll be doing what we did last year, which was the sacraments and the commandments. So this year's the Bible and salvation history. We will be using something called the Teen Timeline, which is a DVD series by Ascension, by Mark Hart. If anybody's ever done the Great Adventure Bible study with Jeff Cavins, anybody? Yeah. 1 or 2. This is the teen version of it. It uses the same chronology, the same terminology, things like that, but it's geared more towards teenagers. So that's what's going on a lot of these nights. So I'll do that presentation. I'll tie it to scripture. I'll tie it to some practical application of the theme for that night, and then we'll watch a segment of the DVD. Most nights are like 7 to 10 minutes of video time. There's a few nights that are like 20 minutes, and I've been taking those and editing them down a bit because there's just some extraneous stuff in there, and there's some things that we can skip and not really miss anything. And so I'm trying to do that to try and make that a little bit of a shorter time. The other thing you'll see on here is a night called Saints Alive. Typically that night starts with a game, and then we move into a saint presentation, which in that night will be in the church. And there's also some time for them to spend in front of the Blessed Sacrament with their journals, which I will be providing them with. All the students will get a workbook, which I literally just picked this up about an hour and a half ago. This is the workbook for this year. If you ever need any printing done, Postal Connections over here kicked out like 70 of these in 36 hours. So they do a really nice job. They've been doing all my printing for probably about 4 years now. But every student will have a workbook like this. Every catechist will have a workbook like this. They'll want to pick that up at the beginning of every class. The other thing they'll get is I'm giving everybody a Bible. The students that have been here before will have theirs from previous years. If you took it home over the summer, please bring it back. Or if you want to take it home every time, just make sure you bring it back every time, because we want to make sure that you have it for the nights that you need it here, because there will be times where you're going to be looking up stuff in the Bible. And so there's that. And then the journals, I'll also give them a journal, which we will keep here. I keep them in my office. Well, here I don't have an office anymore. I keep it locked in a cabinet here. And then I actually give the students a binder clip to put on there so they feel like there's a sense of privacy in their journals. Because I tell them they can write whatever they want in their journal. Hopefully it's something about what we're dealing with that night. But, nobody's going to read it. And so it's going to be their private journal. And so we'll do about 5 of those this year. Normally we do 6 or 7, but because of the number of small group lessons we need to have, there'll be a couple less of those. Confession opportunities, the students would remember this from last year. Confessions run here in the church from 6:30 to 7:30. They will have the opportunity to do that each week. I would ask that they, I know there were some girls that were saying, we're going to go every week. I'm like, okay, well, if you really need to, yes. But don't do that in lieu of being in class either. We want to make sure that we're in the small groups for a time as well. But the students have that opportunity to go to confession during their class time. So I think that's a really huge benefit that we have going for us. Does anybody have any questions about what we've talked about so far? All right, easy group. All right, so next week is going to be our first session week. We're going to start with the introduction to the teen timeline. And so it'll be, that's where we're really going to hit the ground running next week. and be doing, talking about a lot of different things. If at all possible, the start time is 6:15. Last year, there was times where at 6:13, there was 4 students in here out of like 30, 35. And so as much as possible, if you can be here so the students are ready to go at 6:15, that would be helpful. I realize, having had 4 kids, I realize that, it can be a real scramble and a real rush, but I don't want to be starting at 6:20, 6:25 because students are floating in that long. Okay, so do your best to be here by 6:15. I put a note in here about clarifying confirmation. There's been some different things that have gone on with confirmation over the last few years. We all incoming freshmen are going to start confirmation prep now. We were only doing 1 class at a time, like 2 years. They go through and get done. Now I found a way that we can start prep at the beginning of every year for the freshmen. And so, so those of you that are 8th graders, a year from now, when you're in the high school program, you'll be starting your confirmation preparation. And that's a 2-year slide that you go through with that, along with the high school youth ministry. So some people have asked me about that at the middle school level. That's the normative age in which we are starting confirmation here. Okay. Some other opportunities that we do outside of here. 8th graders, this one's specifically for you, and we'll talk more about this probably in the next few weeks. Since you're going to be going into high school next year, you will have the opportunity to go to the Steubenville Youth Conference, which is a big youth rally that's held, there's 20 of them around the country. We go to the one that's in St. Paul, Minnesota at the University of St. Thomas. And so we take last summer, 8 weeks ago, something like that. We took 2 buses with about, 90 people, something like that, that went up to the Twin Cities. And we were part of 2,500 to 3,000 people that were at this youth conference with some nationally known speakers, and they have a band and all that kind of stuff. So it's a really good time. So more information is going to be coming out on that probably by mid-October, hopefully a little sooner, because the registration is November 20th, which is super early, but that's what it is. Yeah. I'm sorry?
Approximately when is the
Oh, it's at the end of July. It's the last weekend in July.
register by November?
We have to register by November, and it fills up by the first week of December. It used to be we could register in January, and they've been pushing it up. In fact, I got an email the other day. So different Steubenvilles are organized by different groups. The ones that organize the ones at the Steubenville campus in Steubenville, Ohio, was like in December. And then I got an email the other day, and they're like, hey, you talked and we listened. We moved it up to October. And they were trying to sell to me like that's just a good thing, that you have to plan 9 months in advance for this thing. So it's what we have to do in order to do it. The cost of it is about $400, but I do have some benefactors that if somebody is struggling to pay for that, that they will chip in for people to go. So don't let money be the reason you don't go, is the point there. So again, that's going to be for all high schoolers who are going to be high schoolers a year from now. So 8th graders, you will get the chance to go. Okay. Love Begins Here. A few of you, how many of you guys have done Love Begins Here? I know Jacqueline went, Jim went, I went. Love Begins Here is put on by the Madison Diocese. It's a mission trip, but it's done within the diocese. It's really a lot of fun. The students, middle schoolers go, we all travel together to one of the parishes in the diocese, and we stay there for 3 nights, and we go around and do service work for a couple of days and do other faith-building activities and other things like that. So it's a really good opportunity. Registration for that will be like in January. We typically go in June. That one, the registration's open till April, so you have some time. But as a few people found out last year, you can get waitlisted pretty easily if we sell out the number of slots that we are allotted. So with that, you still want to try and sign up early. But we'll talk more about that, and I'll send some links out when time gets a little bit closer. They put a video out for every session, and so they show kind of all the fun that we're having. So we are working, but we're also having a lot of fun. That's for all ages in middle school. So 6th graders on up. And the next one on here, it says backcountry. For the last 13 years, I've been taking students on backpacking trips in the summer. I think this summer was our 17th one since 2012. If anybody's at all interested in learning how to backpack, we do that, but we also do a lot of faith stuff on it. You know, like we'll pray the daily rosary, and you know, we'll talk about some of the daily readings and do different things that way. But we went to the Superior Hiking Trail. There was 4 of us that went. At least 2 of them are in this room. Abby back there, Dakota went. If Caitlin was here, she went too. And you know, we go backpacking for a week, and so we learn how to do that. So it's been a lot of fun. So if anybody's interested, I'll be getting more information out about that hopefully by November or December. I'm going to try and push things a little earlier this year so I can start making some decisions a little bit earlier on. Any questions about any of that stuff? Okay. Other items. Prayer support in the church during class. Sometimes parents don't know what to do after they drop their kid off. Our church is open. Like I said, there's priests in there for confession, but you can also just, I know parents that just go in there and they'll sit. I know some that read. I know some that, I know a couple of them, somebody must have been a teacher because they look like they were grading papers. But just hang out in the church, but also just pray for what's going on. The value of people praying for the students and their learning is really valuable. And so if anybody's interested in doing that, just come. If you got other errands to run, fine, whatever, but just come back 15, 20 minutes early and just spend some time in the church. But otherwise, you're welcome to hang out in there as long as you want. You're also welcome to just come in and see what's going on in here. I have an open door policy, so parents are welcome to just show up and just see what's going on any given night. I want you to know, you know, that your kids are safe, obviously, but that they're also, you know, what they're learning, you know, because they may come home with questions, you know, and some things we talk about might challenge them in terms of, you know, their next step in their faith, okay? And so, you know, we try and do that because we all want to be moving forward as we walk forward in our faith, okay? Attendance, we do take attendance every week, mostly because you guys have signed them up and said they're going to be here. And if the student's not here, I worry about their safety. Now, 999 times out of 1,000, they're homesick or some conflict or something came up and the parents, you know, just didn't get a hold of me. But I would ask if you know ahead of time to just send me an email. You guys should have my email by now. I've sent 2 or 3 out to everybody. Send me an email ahead of time. Hey, we're sick, you know, things are happening, or we went on this trip and we're still coming back or whatever. There's all sorts of things like that can happen. For a lot of the nights, I think I'm going to do it this year. I have been recording video of my large group talks, and then I'll post it online a few days later. So if you miss, you can watch that. Okay. For all the Saint talks, I post those online. So if you have to be gone on a Saints Alive night, they can go back and still hear about the Saint. So there's lots of opportunities there. The other thing that's a possibility, but not Wednesdays, probably not as much as Sundays. If you're sick on a Wednesday, it's possible that we're teaching this class again the following Sunday. For most of the weeks, Sunday is first and then the Wednesday. But if we go down to like, down in 1 week in December, oh, that's afterwards too. It looks like in January, there's some dates where this is actually the first lesson taught. Okay, and so you could, if you're sick, we could say, I might say, hey, if you want, you can come to the Sunday one. In general, we want people to pick a night and stick with it, but occasionally there's opportunities to do it the other way as well. All right, so we can talk about that, but we should talk about that ahead of you doing it because you might show up and then it's going to be the same class that they're going to have on Wednesday. So we don't want to do that either. Okay. Last thing, cell phones. Cell phones have become an issue in the last couple of years, so much that we are now going to collect cell phones at the beginning of class. It's probably a bigger problem in the high school, but I do know that it's a problem in the middle school as well. So every catechist small group leader is going to get one of these, and at the beginning when you go to get your workbook, I'm going to ask you to turn your cell phone into your small group leader. Small group leaders are going to put theirs in here too, because they're going to lead by example. but they've just become such a distraction. We need to do something about it. I'll be up here giving a large group talk, and I'm telling 2 or 3 people to put their cell phones away. There's nothing that's that important that's going on in the world during that hour and 15 minutes. There just isn't. And so that's what we need to do. Other option is to leave them at home. Okay, but a lot of schools are going to this as well, but it's kind of gotten to that point, and so it's just something we need to do. I know people are going to have issues with that. Okay, I'm used to being the bad guy. And so if you want to talk to me about it, you're welcome to. But this is what our policy is going to be. All right. I would say if you think security of the phone is the bigger issue, leave it at home. You know, they will be done at 7:30 every week. So it's not like they got to call you and tell you they're done. They'll be done at 7:30 every week. Okay. Does anybody have any questions on that? I know I'm going to get more pushback from the high schoolers, but it's just kind of what it's come to. All right. In general, any questions about stuff? Yeah.
I would just caution when you're talking to the groups that are diabetics that have to have their phones on them, so
Okay.
just to keep that in mind for the high school or for other, like St. Marie Goretti, there are health conditions that need their phones
Okay.
available. So.
Nobody's put on their special needs or diabetic, but that's really good to know. So thank you, I appreciate that. And if somebody has an extraordinary circumstance, but I would say most of the kids looking at their laps and doing stuff aren't in an extraordinary situation, but I realize that there will be some, so I appreciate you bringing that up. All right, any other questions or comments? All right, so I guess that's all I have for you guys tonight. You guys are welcome to head out early. Next week we'll start at 6:15 right here. We're going to start turning the air conditioner on. I'm going to have it turned on in the morning, so hopefully the room's a little cooler by the time we get here. And if you guys have any other questions, I'll be around. You can stick around and talk to me. Otherwise, we'll see y'all next week.